In this video, we'll be taking a look at finishing up the Lesson 3 packet. So this is the Lesson 3 Part 3 video. Go ahead and flip to page 7. We will start there in this video. On page 7, let's start with number 25. Can you figure out the contract for a function just by looking at some sample code? So in Part A, you're asked to type a specific piece of code into the software. So if you have a computer, you should be able to do pages 7 and 8 on your own. But if you do not, then you are watching this video because I'll demonstrate it for you. So I am going to type the function text followed by the word cool between quotation marks, followed by the number 200, followed by the word purple between quotation marks, end parentheses, and hit enter. And there is our output. So let's go ahead back to the packet and answer parts B through F. So part B, what does this function do? What's its purpose? The purpose of this text appears to be to give us some sort of colored text. It appears that we can pick the size, we can pick the color, and we can pick what it says. Okay, what is the name for the function? Keep in mind that when we write code, the first thing that comes after parentheses is the name. So the name of this function is text. The domain of the function is the type of data that the function expects. So our three inputs here are cool, 200, and purple. But keep in mind, our domain are not going to be specific values. Our domain is going to be the type of data. So the word cool between quotation marks is a string. The number 200 is obviously a number. And the word purple between quotation marks is a string. So our domain is string, number, string. The range is what type of output is produced. So what type of output is this? You might think, oh, it's a string, it's a word. But keep in mind, this is not a string, it's not between quotation marks, it's actually an image of the word cool. So our range is an image. So when we write a contract, keep in mind, a contract is general. So starts with a semicolon, the function name, colon. Then comes our domain. Well, we already said in part D that our domain is string, number, string. That's the type of data that the function expects. And then our output, we need an arrow, and then our output, or our range, is an image. So that's our contract for the function text. All right, so let's take a look at number 26. Determine if each of the following is a contract or code. You guys should be able to do this on your own, keeping in mind that a contract is general types of data. Code are specific pieces of data. So pause the video now and do number 26 on your own. Here are the answers for number 26. Anything that starts with a semicolon and uses general types of data is a contract. So the first one and the last one here starts with a semicolon, general types of data. That's a contract. Code, of course, is starting and ending with a parentheses, and we see specific numbers, specific strings, specific types of values. So that was number 26. Let's take a look at number 27. The function bitmap/URL, that's all one word, no spaces, takes in the URL, which is a web address, of any image you can find online and will produce that image so that you can use it in your program. The URL should be typed as a string with quotation marks. So carefully type the following code into your interactions window. What does it produce? So I am going to type the code into the interactions window. So here's the code that we are asked to type in number 27. Bitmap/URL is the function name. It's one word, no spaces. Then a space. Then as a string between quotation marks, I typed the URL, which is the web address of an image, of a picture that I found online. So when I hit enter, it's going to evaluate this for me. And let's see what the bitmap/URL function does. Right, so it took a second, but what that function did for me is it gave me the image that is located at this web address. So that's what the bitmap/URL code does. So down at the bottom of page 7 in your packet, I want you to take some time to explore, if you're on a computer, what the flip horizontal, flip vertical and scale functions do. So I gave some sample code that will allow you to figure out what it does. I'll take some time to type this in and evaluate it on the. So down here at the bottom, I've typed in the code for flip horizontal. Please keep in mind, flip horizontal does have a hyphen in it, but no spaces. Flip horizontal is a function. It has to be one word. So when I evaluate it, it gives me the image of the word math, which is what I told the computer to do here with the text function. But flip horizontal took the word, or took the image, I should say, and flipped it horizontally. So now it is backwards. Let's take a look at the next one. Down here at the bottom, I have the code for the flip vertical function. Notice again that flip vertical is shown as one word. The computer reads it as one word. Because the hyphen is there with no spaces, that is how the computer will read it. So when I evaluate it, we see that the word happy, or the text happy, is written, but it has been flipped vertically, so it's upside down. So that's what the flip vertical function does. Let's take a look at the next one. In this code down at the bottom, I'm using the scale function. In this case, I'm scaling it by a factor of 1, which, if you think back to geometry, a scale factor of 1 actually doesn't do anything. It won't make it bigger or smaller. But we're going to take the text hello in size 50, color light blue, and scale it by a factor of 1. So that is what we get there. That is actual size 50 text. When I copy and paste that, and now the next one is scaling by a factor of 2, which is actually going to take this text and make it twice as large. So it's safe to assume here that the size is no longer 50, but it's actually 50 times 2, which is 100. Again, let me try another scale factor, this time a scale factor of 0.5, which is 1/2. So in this case, when I evaluate it, we get something smaller than the original, specifically half the size, because of the scale factor of 1/2. So the scale function scales an image to be bigger or smaller depending on what scale factor you use. All right, we are back in the packet now. This is page 8 of the Lesson 3 packet. On this page, you don't actually need a computer because each and every one of these pieces of code has an error. Okay, the directions say for each of the following incorrect expressions, inspect the code to find the error. At this point, this is something that you should be able to finish on your own for the most part. Each of these letters, A through K, has some sort of an error that may be pretty obvious and may be a little bit more difficult to find. But for example, letter A, we're using the function addition, and the inputs are 4 and high. So the problem here is we're trying to add a number and a string. So the way I would identify this error is you can't add a number to a string. Remember, the addition function requires 2 numbers for inputs, not a number and a string. In letter B, 7 plus 3. Hopefully you're noticing that if this is supposed to be code, the addition symbol has to go first. So that's the error here. The addition symbol must go first. So I'd like you to pause the video now and take a look at C through K and identify these errors on your own. And I'll check back and see how you did in a little bit. Here are the answers for C through H. Letter C was using the wrong symbol for division. Letter D, we were multiplying a number and a string, which you can't do. You can't multiply a string. In letter E, it looks correct until you realize that the number that's used as an input, which in this case is 40, is in the wrong spot. The 40 is supposed to be the first input. Letter F, the 40 was written as a string between quotation marks, but it's actually supposed to just be a number. Letter G looks correct. It's star, and then it's a number, a string, and a string, until you realize that the 2 strings are in the wrong order. We're supposed to see the solid or outline string first, and then the string that tells the color second. Letter H, a little bit tricky. The word yellow is actually spelled wrong here, so if you type this code into the computer, it will not work. You'll get an error because of the spelling. Let's take a look at I, J, and K down at the bottom. Letter I, the star function is missing an input. This code has not told the computer whether to use solid or outline. Letter J, we're missing a closing parentheses, has to be there. And letter K for the bitmap/URL function, which you learned about in this lesson 3 packet. We know that the web address for the image or the URL has to be between quotation marks, so we need a quotation mark at the beginning and the end of the URL to make it a string. So that concludes the lesson 3, part 3 video. And this is actually the end of lesson 3. Next video, we'll be taking a look at lesson 4.